Okay, now we're recording. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to this first edition of the Arkane Network interviews. And I have here Karel and Marco, who have made something very interesting. Actually, Karel is from the Arkane Network, and Marco is sort of the glue that kind of stick Eternity and Arkane Network together by developing this Java SDK. And before we jump into what the Arkane network is, what the Eternity wallet in Arkane is, we can start with a few introductions, and I'm just going to start. So my name is Vlad Dramaliev, and I'm the community guy, the communications guy at Eternity, and I love doing these interviews with people from the community who talk about their projects and how they're benefiting Eternity, the Eternity ecosystem in general. And yeah, I've been with Eternity since the very start of the project in the late 2016. And yeah, if you want to find more about me, just find me in some of the communication channels of Eternity. I'm everywhere basically. I'm gonna give the word to Karel. Actually, sorry about the
Yeah,
wrong intonation there, but
it's
go
okay.
ahead.
We're used to it.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karel. Nice to meet you. Finally getting to know the Eternity community, which is nice. So as already mentioned, I'm part of Arkane Network. I'm the CEO. Arkane is a product that focuses on the usability of blockchain applications, trying to improve that. And together with a lot of help from Marco, we recently were able to launch the support for Eternity. But I guess we will talk about this a bit more in the next couple of minutes.
Sure. Yes. Marco.
Yeah. Hello, guys. I'm Marco. I'm working in Stuttgart at Targens GmbH. We are focusing on blockchains and DLTs in several industries, mainly in the finance sector. In my spare time, I'm trying to create a crypto community that is self-educating and more technical related, called Cryptocrats. I hope you will hear more about Cryptocrats in the near future. And also, besides that, I'm proud to be an ambassador of Eternity. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so we have everybody introduced, and what we can do is jump into the discussion about what the Arcane network is. And as far as I understand, Arcane network is providing a wallet service. It's not only a wallet service, but it's a so-called of a like the way I call it is a programmable wallet service. But it's also big on user friendliness. And user friendliness in the blockchain world is something of paramount importance. Only yesterday, I actually read an article about Facebook coin Libra, and the author was really stressing on the fact that Facebook really knows how to do excellent user interfaces and to create very excellent user experiences. And this is something that the blockchain world is really suffering from at this point and for years. So this is a major point. And user experience and user interfaces are very important for Eternity as well, because we also believe that going into the blockchain mainstream is only possible through very intuitive interfaces and very easy to use applications ready for like a mass audience of users which are used to what, for example, Facebook has created, or any of the other centralized apps which have very good user interfaces. So, Carl, what can you tell us about Arcane and
Well, actually, you've already mentioned the most critical point or the pain point that we are trying to tackle. We saw a lot of companies focusing on the scalability and the performance, either within a certain blockchain or cross blockchains. We also noticed new blockchains coming up that were tackling that point head on, which is really nice to see. But there are not so many projects that are actually focusing on the UX and the usability of the product. Because let's face it, today you still need to be a bit tech savvy to know how to handle your private keys. What is a transaction? How does it work? Do I need to go to a block explorer? What's going on? I don't have enough funds to commit a transaction, which can be quite complicated based on the blockchain that you're using. And then I'm not even talking about smart contracts, NFTs, tokens, and all of that.
Yeah.
And we noticed, or we fully agree, that if chain has to become or should become mainstream, that it will come from the applications, and for that they need to be extremely user-friendly. And that's why we started to build Arkane slowly. It actually started out with another project, which is called Fund Request, where we wanted to adopt mainstream developers, but we noticed that we were asking them to fill in their blockchain address, but many developers, even though they are tech savvy, were not really understanding what we were asking them. And from that experience, the idea came, okay, this is actually the most crazy way we are actually onboarding users. We should actually be able to onboard them and then in a later stage give them a wallet and not assume they already have a wallet. And that's how Arkane came to life. We are actually a wallet as a service solution. So blockchain applications can integrate us and offer wallets to users or offer them a very user-friendly way of interacting with their wallet from within their own application. So that's the core product. But of course, since at the end of the day, we are giving out wallets to end users, we also have a very nice front end so that the end users can interact with their digital assets. As and recently, we are able to support Eternity because the support for blockchains, that part is in a different repository on GitHub. And Marco came to us and asked, hey, you know, Eternity is really like a cool upcoming blockchain, really nice supportive community. Interesting features regarding performance, fast transactions, cheap transactions. Would it be interesting if he starts to write like an SDK? Well, actually, he wanted to do the integration, but which turns out that we are based on Java, so he also had to write an SDK. But I'm going to let Marco talk a bit more about that. But at the end of the day, he came through, and we were able to add the functional code. So now that's done, we are able to offer Eternity wallets not only to end users but also to applications and products that want to build or have built on Eternity.
Oh, that's interesting. So when you're saying friendliness, um, but what I also understand is that it's the Arkane Eternity wallet, or actually any Arkane wallet, is not simply a wallet, but it provides some additional functionalities to application developers and also users in the end. What could be like one of these or a few of these additional functionalities, for example?
Yes, so we are a wallet provider, but we have different types of wallets. So the first one is very simple, generic, as people are used to. The user is fully owner and can do any transaction that he pleases. The second one is a wallet where the user is completely the owner, but only transactions are allowed from one application. So imagine if you are a game, you are able to offer your user a wallet and offer him certain digital items like swords or gear because he signed up in your game. And you can help him with the onboarding process and so on. And only if he has achieved a certain set of requirements, tasks, for example, reached a certain level or spend enough time, the wallet becomes unlocked and it becomes a standard regular wallet. Basically, it's up to the application when he wants to release the control over the wallet. But it's critical to mention that it's owned by the user, so the application cannot take any assets from the user. It's only the application can propose certain transactions, and it's up to the user to confirm or not. But the benefit from applications is that, for example, let's assume airdrops. Everybody knows what airdrops are. let's face it, people get tokens. The first thing they do is they just go to an exchange and they sell them. With the application wallets, you can airdrop tokens to users, but you can be sure that those tokens have to be used in your blockchain application.
Mm-hmm.
And only when they've done so, you can decide when they become fully unlocked or fully available. Which is more interesting for the dApp, more interesting for the user because they're actually doing something in the app. They are getting to know blockchain applications. And for foundations or the blockchain itself, it's also very interesting because they're actually meaningful transactions and not just sending them to a centralized exchange to get swapped. Because it's my personal opinion that there are too many token holders, and I'm stressing here holders, and not enough people that are actually just trying out applications. I can understand if you don't want to use an application, but at least have a look, try it out, see how it works, get to know the mechanisms and so on, give user feedback, which is also very important for applications. So that's a second type. And then you also have a completely white label solution. That's if you want to integrate blockchain, but really push it in the background where the end user doesn't even know that things are happening on the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's up to the application to decide how visible they want to make it or not.
Okay, so in a way, the Arkane wallet allows for the tokens to be kind of programmable. So it's not simply to receive the tokens, but actually create some, I don't know, marketing activities or different use cases in relation to those tokens and make their availability actually or ability to send them around condition of
Yeah.
some conditional on something that the user can do
Yeah.
with those. So I can
For
think of,
example,
yeah.
so if you would scale this up, instead of one application that is doing an airdrop, you could actually scale it up to like a group of applications where you build out a network of, for example, 5 applications. You do an airdrop or something within that group, and then you know the users who receive the assets can only use them within that set of 5 applications, for example.
Hmm. That opens up a lot of use cases when it comes to applications. And I think you also mentioned in our previous conversations that users can actually log in with some kind of a like just a Facebook login, but at the same time
Yeah.
still keep control of the coins or the wallet completely.
Yeah, so this is regarding the usability from the end user point of view.
Yeah.
So we allow signing up using social logins or email and passwords, and we use then a PIN code that the user defines to re-encrypt their private key. Um, so basically, high-levelly put, or simply speaking, we translate the private key into a PIN code to be able to sign for transactions. To continue on the UX point of view, we also support mobile, web, and desktop, any browser, any device. So if even native mobile applications, so if you want to have your app featured in the App Store, that would also be possible if you use Arkane as your wallet solution.
Yeah, that's actually super interesting, and I'm pretty sure that a number of Eternity applications or projects that are currently building on Eternity will be very interested in incorporating this kind of wallet into their solutions. And I know that you guys are already talking with a few projects from the Eternity
Yeah,
systems.
yeah, that's true. So what we did is we reached out to Starfleet, basically just to say hi and get to know one another. And they thought it was a really cool idea. They did some warm intros. We talked to a few projects and we got great feedback.
Mhm.
And now it's just a matter of following up. Also, we just have been live for like a few days, few weeks. So,
Yes.
but it's also my understanding that some of those projects are still really in the development phase. Um,
Yeah.
so we need to see in when would be a good time for integration.
Yeah, well, the wallet is usually very like at the very center of any application, and that's why we are kind of trying to also create currently a browser wallet extension, actually two Air Gap and also Milan from the dev team are both trying to develop Chrome browser extensions to allow integration with different applications. And as far as I understand, in the case of Arkane, there is not even a need for to use a browser wallet extension. It's even more
No,
streamlined, right?
Yes.
because our philosophy. Ah, sorry.
I
Go
want to
ahead,
point
Marco.
out the user friendliness part here in this scenario. As you already mentioned, Flat, it's not even necessary to install any type of browser extension to use Arcane and to create wallets. You can even, if you want to onboard someone to crypto or send him tokens, Eternity tokens or Ethereum or Bitcoin or Litecoin, all the blockchains that Arcane supports, you can just send him within Arcane the token to his email address. He will receive an email, and in the background he will get his wallet created and will receive his funds if he registers on Arcane. So it's not even necessary to have anything except an email address.
Yeah, that's
And
actually pretty amazing.
yeah,
I was really fascinated by this, but by this ability to send tokens or cryptocurrency by email. And
Yeah, it makes life actually quite easy. For example, while we were testing the Eternity integration within our dev team, yeah. So how does it work? We get like Eternity tokens, and then multiple people have to test. So we need to share the tokens, and we don't need to ask them, "Hey, create an address or give me your address." We just send them to the email address, and we don't need to ask. We just immediately know where it needs to go.
that's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. I'm going to definitely think of a way to use that in a marketing campaign that we organize at Eternity. I think it will be very easy to distribute tokens in this way. Currently, what we're using is actually a tip bot in Telegram and also direct sends. But actually, sending to email addresses could be something very useful for me. Is it possible to send tokens to multiple email addresses? Like, for example, I have like that I don't know 100 tokens, and I want to send 100 email addresses one token or something like this.
Yeah, that's possible, but not via the front end. But if you use the API, that's possible.
Okay, that's very interesting. Definitely, we'll talk about this with you later because I need such a functionality, yeah, for something related to the community. But yes, Marco, tell us a bit more about around crypto crowds and the Java SDK. Um,
yes.
yeah.
But before I talk about cryptocurrencies, I want to point out another feature of Arcane because I think it's important to know that. I mentioned, or Kara already mentioned, different applications can make use of it, and you as user can always define which application has access to a certain wallet. So if you visit, for example, one game and another game, you log in with via Arcane. These can be different wallets. The other game doesn't know anything about the other wallet, and and you just log in and have your wallet. You don't need to switch your wallet manually in a browser extension because the application is already linked to a certain wallet. That's a really cool feature from user perspective too. And you can also revoke the access of an application at any point of time.
So basically,
Yeah.
if you access an application, you can receive tokens for that. Is this what you mean, or I didn't get it.
No, he means that we assume that a user not has multiple addresses,
Yeah, yeah.
and that the application we can share those addresses to the application. So
Hmm.
how the flow usually works is a user wants to connect his Arcane account to an application to start using it.
Yeah.
And then he will be able to see a list of all his addresses, and he's able to select one or multiple he wants to use in that application.
Ah,
And
okay.
the other way around, if he wants to revoke access meaning that the application cannot propose any transactions anymore to the user, cannot query the information to the user, he can revoke that access. But it's here also very important to mention that With access, it just means being able to offer a transaction. It's the user who always has to confirm the, the transaction. So it's not that the application has any ownership of any funds. That's not the case.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So yes, crypto crowds and the Java SDK. Um, yeah, as Carol already mentioned, they originally started a project called Fund Request, which is some kind of Gitcoin, and we wanted to make use of it in our community or the community to create because that should be knowledge driven, and we wanted to create it fully on GitHub and wanted to fund yeah, content with GitHub issues. And we wanted to make use of fund requests. So I was always following the project and we were always in contact with each other.
Hmm.
And finally, they started working on Arkane. And I was also following Arkane and was really amazed by the user friendliness and liked the project very much.
Hmm.
So and Arkane also provides blockchain providers. It's a GitHub repository where everyone can contribute the code of blockchain integration of other blockchains. So if anybody of you out there wants to integrate another chain, you can just clone the GitHub repository, write the integration, and create a merge request or pull request. And Arkane will be able to integrate that shortly after that. Yeah, and I or we, Michelle and I, we created Crypto Crowds. I already told that should be a self-educating, technical-oriented crypto community. We currently launched a crypto timeline where we wanted to um, show up all events in crypto that happened since 2009.
Oh,
And yeah, so you only need to clone our GitHub repository, which is basically our website, and
ah,
you can write Markdown. You can create pull requests. We will merge them, and they will be visible in our timeline. So if you want to do so, you're welcome to help us. And yeah, we wanted to integrate Eternity into Arkane, but Arkane only supported. Well, Arcane is written in Java, so we needed a Java SDK for Eternity, and it wasn't available. So we had to write it on our own. That's what we did. We will soon launch another version, a new release, because the current SDK of ours is only capable of creating wallets. We can also create HD wallets at
mhm.
the but for transactions, we have many different transaction types in Eternity. So at the moment, it's only supporting spend transactions. So you can only send Eternity tokens to each other, but that will soon, 2 weeks, uh, change because we will release another version of our Java SDK that also has contract support. And this will be the moment when we finally integrate that in Arcane. You will also be able to communicate with smart contracts deployed on the Eternity blockchain. Yeah.
Right, that's really nice. Thank you for all the work actually in developing the Java SDK. We have these weekly updates coming from the development team on Friday, and if you have the time, it would be really nice if you join them and talk about the Java SDK. Of course, if you have the time, because so far those updates are focused on the like the Go SDK and the Python one and the JavaScript one, and I think people don't really like people from the community don't realize that there's also a Java SDK. So it would be nice to actually inform the community about this, not only in written like text in the forum, but also in like these video updates we do for the entire team. Or at least just join one of those, and it's really fun. And you also get a lot of information about what's happening in Eternity in terms of development and what are different teams actually working on. But yeah, I think this is quite a lot of information and was very useful. I see a lot of potential in this in the Arcane wallet, and kind of sounds to me that it's a no-brainer when it comes to what wallet should an app use, an app on Eternity use when it comes to user friendliness. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for these introductions and for these clarifications. I think this will be very useful, and I hope the community will appreciate this. And I hope that a lot of developers will also see this and consider the Eternity Arkane wallet in their products and applications. And yes, as soon as we have more information or some kind of development, we can do this again. And yeah, keep the community informed about what's happening with Arkane and Eternity. Thank you very much for this call, guys, and thank you for having the time for this. Like actually a second time for this, because the first recording didn't go too well, and hopefully this one is perfect. So thank you very much, and talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.
Thanks for your time. See you. Bye, Vlad.